Hello everyone, this is Chris Jamel at Exxon Interactive, and by the time that we are done with this video, we will have created a base class that all of our examples can inherit from and a couple of mixins to make it easier for us to create examples. And the point being is that we basically want an example for each of the controls that we have so we can display what are the options that you can have associated with that control and what you can do with it. We will also have created the first one, which is for the checkbox. We check here, we'll see that we have an example with the checkbox, of course, working, and yeah, so that's our goal for this video. Let's go ahead and get started here. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is to install Immutable JS, which you can see in my package.json file. I've already done it. So at the time of writing this, the version number is 3.8.2. So go ahead and install that. Close this and make as much space as possible here. So the first thing that we're going to update is our Snippets Manager. And so our main goal today is to make it easier to add examples for all of the controls that we have. So right now we have a basic example which lists all of them. What I want is an example for each control so that we can show what's possible, what the configuration is for each control. So we have to do a little refactoring to make that as easy as possible. And like I said, we're going to start with the Snippets Manager here. And I haven't mentioned it previously. The main reason for importing Immutable into our project is to have an eye towards dealing with improving the change detection that's going on. So we'll start by importing, and we'll import map. Comes from Immutable. See our little squigglies down there now. So what we'll do instead of new map, we'll just take off the new there. Actually, we're going to adjust that in the first place. And then what I want to do is to create also a new type here. And well, while we're at it, let's do RxJS. We're going to need pairs from RxJS. And we're also going to need, from the operators, we're going to need distinct. Alright, so let's go ahead and create a type. I'm going to go ahead and export this, even though I have not a use for it at the moment. We're also going to export a type, and I call it snippet array. And that snippet array type is just this. I'm tired of typing this in different places. So now we can go ahead and, so the thing is that right now in the basic example, so we look, the way that we're creating our snippets, right, is we're just newing up a Snippets Manager here right inside of our basic example. I want to refactor all this stuff out, so what we need is a way to add snippets to our Snippet Manager after it's been constructed. I guess we could do it the other way, but whatever. So I'm going to remove the read-only here. Perfect. And then we're going to change the constructor here. So let's take this, and now we can use the snippet array. And what we're going to do is, instead of this being a constructor, we're going to change this to a method called public add snippets. So it equals this method here. Alright, so now we get the snippets. That news up a map, and everything is good to go there. So now we come down here to our snippets to code, and it has a problem because this immutable map does not have an iterator like the JavaScript map does. So what we're going to do is take this, instead of from, we're going to turn this to pairs. Take our snippets. I used snippets.toObject the previous time. Maybe we don't need the snippets to object. Let's try it here. What we need to do though is to help it with the typing here. And so now X is going to have the type's going to be a, tuple array there with string and snippet. All right, let's go ahead and save that. See what we've got actually. Basic example component. Oh, yeah. Well, in the moment, what we're going to do is to leave this alone. And what I should have done previously was to see, actually we'll leave it alone and come back to it. But I have to remind myself here somehow that we need to come back and adjust this with a distinct call. So let's actually, we'll leave it open and see if that helps me remember. So now what we need to do is to create the mixins and the base class for examples to inherit from and to use. Let's open up our panel here. See our little red going on here, and what we want to create is inside of the examples folder. We'll choose a new, add new, and I guess while we're adding, we'll do examples.mixin. So we have one for pug. We'll do scss, and I guess we're in a creating mood right now. Let's go ahead and create new file, and we'll say examples.component.ts. All right, so now we'll open up the pug here. Give us a little room. Let's take a look at the basic example pug. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take all of this, whole kit and caboodle. I'll just copy it. And we'll come over here. We'll create a mixin. We'll call it example. Indent. Of course, this needs to be indented one more. So everything that's on here, except for except for these controls, we're going to use in each component. So all we're going to do is to replace the control rows here by a block statement. Save that. We can close it. Back here. So now all we have to do is call the example mixin that we just created. And what we need to pass in is the control rows. Make sure they're indented correctly. And now we can go ahead and just get rid of all of this. So that's all it takes to create the template for an example now. So we'll close that. If we take a look, let's go into the example mixins.scss, and we'll create a mixin, again called example. This one's even easier. If we go into the basic example Sass file, what we want is actually all of this. So let's just cut all that out over to here. Oops, save that, go back in. So of course, we'll go ahead and update it while we're here. What we want at import examples.mixins.scss. And now we just need include example. We're done with the SCSS. All right, so now we need to deal with our example component.ts file here. And so we'll, of course, what I did previously was to copy stuff from the basic over here, figure out what was going to be used, what wasn't. Of course, now that I know, we'll just skip to using only what we need. So we'll use the after view init and view child. And then we need to also import, and this is from forms index. And this is, we need a snippet array. We need a snippet manager. We need the syntax highlighting service and the XC form group component. Perfect. Now we'll say export abstract class examples component implements after view init. Let's just take care of that squiggly while we're at it. After view init void. Move it down a bit. Okay, so now we want at view child. We are going to change the name for this form. I guess actually I should have already make the We did. I forgot some stuff. Sample mixins pug. So I forgot what I wanted to do was to convert this, the template variable from whatever it was, basic blah blah blah, to just form, and we're going to call the name just form as well. Brief look just to see if I haven't missed anything else. No. So now we have the form, and we'll call it private read only underscore form. XE form group component starts out null. So we all, have the private get t data. So we want the data to be displayed. That was the return. JSON dot stringify. What was this? Form dot data null indented by 2. Perfect. And what do we want? Roughly 3 of them. So we need change that to errors. Oops. That was very effective use. Errors. That's what I get for trying to do stuff while I'm thinking about it. And this one is supposed to be invalid. And actually, what we need to do is to change this. So I originally did it just stringifying everything. So of course this one's not stringify. This one's just underscore form dot invalid. Perfect. And while we're at it, let's just do valid and erase this. This dot form dot valid. Spelling is not my strong suit. So what we want now is a protected read-only Snippets Manager. Snippets Manager equals new Snippets Manager. It gets kind of redundant to put the type on there, but creature of habit. We also need a way to get the snippets. So protected and abstract get snippets array. While we're at it, protected abstract get t component. Of course, our template's looking for this thing. It's also looking for get t template string. Time to add the constructor. So in the constructor, we're going to take in something when we move stuff so far down we can't read it. Private read only syntax highlighter, which of course is a syntax highlighting service. Spelling read only. After view init here, we want to say this dot syntax highlighter dot highlight all. Perfect. Last few things here, and protected add snippets. I'll come in. Snippets will be a snippets array, and this dot snippets manager dot add snippets. Perfect. And the private methods that we have t get snippet components key string snippets manager dot get no manager dot get component, and of course the last one private get snippet template. Snippets manager get template key. Hopefully I've done everything right on that thing. So we'll go ahead and close that. And now it's time to update the basic example So we've already done the pug and the scss, so we need to handle the component. All right, stop complaining here. So let's get rid of some stuff that we already used. So we need, after view init in the base, view child is in the base. We need snippet array, syntax highlighting. We do not need the group. Perfect. Now let's inherit some import from examples component. Examples component. So now our basic example no longer implements this. It extends the basic example. No, it's going to extend itself. Examples component should go well. Let's get rid of that. So what we need is to have a getter for snippets. So let's just convert this thing over. Get snippets. And what we need, no longer Snippets Manager. We do need the array, so let's do this. We'll return this thing. Should have an error down here. All right, so now we're returning a snippets array. I don't know why. We'll just do it this way. All right, so we have the snippets array done, and the next thing we need to do, take this to protected. There is no underscore snippets, it's a new Snippets Manager. We need none of these, so no getters there. Convert this to protected. Again, no snippets snippets, just Snippets Manager. Constructor, of course, needs to call super, and we'll pass in syntax highlighter in a second. Whoops. Undo that. What we'll do, though, is just to get rid of that and pass in the syntax highlighter. We're also going to want to do the syntax, add the snippets. So we'll do snippets.add snippets and this snippets. Of course, can't call that it can't call the getter an abstract getter in the abstract class. Let's get rid of that. Now, while I'm thinking about it, we do have to update the component here. We no longer, this I don't think is going to be necessary for configuring our forms. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. Inside of our component, we change this to be form. And we need this to just be capital form. I'm also going to remove this class here that's being used to style our example. It has nothing to do with, just using the form group. And we no longer need any of these. Oops. Highlight the right stuff. That's gone. And if I save that, crossing the fingers, we come back here and find extends base class snippets is private. Making a mistake. What would I make it? Protected, I think. I would assume I made it. Protected. Now, how do we get to work? Now it appears to be working almost. Well, we got these undefines going on here. So that's happening within this. Oh, so that was the do I have to do this thing to remember to do inside of. So what I did originally. Great. Nothing like opening stuff that I don't need. So we're back to the Snippets Manager, and just wanted to test to see if this would actually work. I guess it will not. What I did, I think, is use the dot. There's a toObject method on here. Let's save that. Let's go ahead and close that. And now we are back to working. Almost. Got some problems up there, at least this part. So let me fix this while we're thinking about it. So the reason I talked about this distinct already. Originally when I did it, I didn't use the same options for both the radio group and the select. In this case, and afterwards, I said, well, why do I need separate ones? Just use the same one. So we've listed it twice, should appear up here. And since it's listed twice, it's getting listed twice down here, which of course is incorrect. So if we go back here, what we're going to do is scroll up to make sure I put this in the right place. So after the map, what we're going to do is then just say distinct xx, save that, turn to our browser. Now we have just the one going on. Let's go ahead and take a look. I'm sure we're throwing errors left and right to figure out what is going on here. So S is undefined. What is undefined? Snippets Manager, snippets to components. Oops. Okay, S is undefined. Which means probably I've done something wrong in the, oops, I didn't mean to close that. But let's do examples component.ts. Snippets, 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 snippets. Everywhere, snippets. Tell you what, let me say that I'm going to cut it here, figure out what I've done, and then we'll be right back. Alright, so we're back here, and people are probably yelling at me. Well, I didn't mean to do that. People are probably yelling at me to, or because they saw the problem, of course, and the problem was silly. But let me adjust things a little bit here, get back to going. First thing though, I made some changes to in the Snippets Manager. I made a couple changes to the get component and get template methods. Whatever was happening because of this mistake that I made, and I really don't know why this thing was happening, but this thing was blowing up my browser with errors, and got up to like 3,000 errors at one point because of Angular's change detection running all over the place. So I've modified the get component and get templates to try to protect against some snippet missing, and then dealing with template telling me that there's a missing template and all that kind of stuff. All right, so that's just the changes to the snippet manager. Of course, it's in the article. The mistake that I made was down here in the get snippet component method, and of course it helps if you actually return the strings that you're expecting to return. So if we look at the browser now, everything is working correctly. And so we have everything, radios, all that's still working. It's good to go. All right. The one thing that I do want to note, and it's another thing, just brings it all to the front here, is that I mentioned the fact that I was using Immutable to do some change detection, that kind of stuff. We're sort of doing a no-no thing here, and sort of in the definition for a control row. We're doing the interpolation on a function, which of course works, but just for examples here, if we go here, if we take a look in our browser here, and let's bring up the console window. In the console, we'll see, well, let's refresh because I had a bunch of console statements. So we have this, why are you running now? Great. Let me come up here and let's adjust the input. Oh, I'm like, why is it not working? It's like, all of a sudden it got smarter. It's because Firefox here is trying to be helpful, and it's, I don't know if you can see it very well, but in the bottom there, we're up to 60 statements. So we're getting, in that case, the template, getting templates, which, you know, the templates are static. Nothing, you know, the fact that this text box is being updated has nothing to do with those, and I'm up to 270. And that's because of the Angular's change detection going on and what I've decided to do over there. So we'll adjust that. Maybe we start doing some of that kind of stuff in the, probably not the next video because we have other things to do, but maybe a video after that. But for now, let's just get rid of this console statement and pretend that everything is working the way we expect it to be working. Alright, so now we'll come down here. The whole point of this endeavor was to be able to create examples, and we want examples, like I said, I might have mentioned already, for each of the different controls. So we have the basic done. What we want is checkbox. So the only thing I'm going to do is take everything from basic, copy it down there into checkbox, close all this. So let's start with the pug. Let's rename this thing to checkbox. Should have left that hyphen there. So of course in here, the checkbox only needs the checkbox control. So that's good. Let's go into the scss checkbox. Let's go in here. Of course, no changes need to be made. Change the name to our basic example here to checkbox. Let's come in here and let's see if I can manage to do the changes without having to look over there at the notes. Of course, that's a dangerous proposition, so replace with checkbox. We've already done it. I'll go ahead and place that one. We need to fix that, and we'll fix that one. So this should be a capital C, and of course capital C here. So inside of our snippets, of course, all we need is the checkbox. Let's see if we can get the right area. So let's get rid of all of that. I think the rest of it should all be the same. So let's save that. Alright, so now of course if we're going to use that, we need to import and export and do all that. So form examples index. Let's add the export to the checkbox. So we're good to go there. Now we'll update the forms example pug. What we'll do is take our test here, make it a checkbox route and checkbox here. That's good. So now we need to deal with the module here. So let's add in checkbox example. Give us another path. Come on. So checkbox. Apparently we did not update something. Could have sworn I changed that. Checkbox example.ts. I did not. Where did I change it? I changed one. Did I not change the other? Oh, what an idiot. So checkbox example and checkbox. Save that. Back to the module. Checkbox. So we need that route to give us the checkbox component. Of course, we need to include that in our declarations. Save that. And once again, back to crossing fingers to see if this works. So we have the basic and checkbox. Checkbox seems to have, or seems to be displaying all of the information that we need. And it is updating correctly. So before the next video, what I'm going to do is basically just create all of the components, basically doing exactly what I did here, copying, pasting into all of these, and then we'll pick up in the next video from there. Thank you for taking the time to watch our video. I know that your time is valuable. If you liked the video, please subscribe to our channel and click the thumbs up button, as well as share the video with your friends. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, please leave them in the comments section below. And once again, thank you, and I will talk to you in the next video.